I got a call this week from who I believe was the worst truck driver I've talked to in a very, very long time. And what I mean by the worst truck driver, I mean his attitude was just bizarre and out there and in left field.
So we're not talking about baseball, right?
No, we're talking about, the expression, when you're out in left field, it means you're nuts.
Yes, I do know that.
I mean, I want to, to be honest with you, I wish I could call him and get him on the show. I would just love the audience to actually hear this guy talking.
If it was that bizarre, then
it would be great.
It at least be entertaining.
Yeah.
All right.
So
tell me why it was bizarre.
Well, first off, he calls in on one of the show lines, and he starts whining about dispatchers and companies. Hey, Troy, do you think a dispatcher could drive all these loads that we do on time and be out there? I'm like, what? Where's he going with this? He's whining about companies and blackballing. And then he finally says to me, nobody will hire him because he's got an abandonment on his record.
That's not good at all.
Right. So,
I mean, you don't want to abandon your truck. It doesn't matter how horrible things are. You really don't want to abandon it.
Well, here's what's weird about this truck driver.
Okay.
He's got like 10 or 15 years experience. Now, you and I both know that if you have one abandonment, yeah, sure, there's probably going to be carriers that say, we don't want anything to do with you. But there's plenty of carriers that are going to give you a job. Well,
yeah, if you've got that much experience and all in all, your record is good, one abandonment, companies know there are those companies out there that are just really bad. So they'll give that leeway.
Right. I mean, come on, honestly, we talk to companies all the time, and, carriers will take drivers with more than one abandonment in most cases. You know, and sometimes when a driver abandons a truck, it's actually legitimate because maybe he put a notice in and the company won't get him home. They keep, trying to avoid getting him back and keeping him out on the road. They're almost forcing the guy to at least drop the truck off. And the other thing about truck abandonment, sometimes a company will put down truck abandonment and it was maybe a driver dropped it off at one of their drop yards.
Right.
Instead of writing unauthorized location, but it's they should note that, hey, this driver did bring it back to one of our secured drop yards, but some of them will actually try to burn the driver.
Yeah, because, and a lot of times, dispatch would be the one that says, just drop it off at this location that we have. So a lot of times they'll do that to the driver where the driver's, honestly thinking they're not doing anything bad by taking it to where dispatch told them to.
Yeah. And in most cases, the companies that will, I met a driver one time that was trying to leave his company and it took them 3 months. They kept avoiding. And I was like, dude, you're probably better off at this point forcing their hand, but he didn't want to have any bad blood between him and a company. So he stuck it out. And finally, they literally got him home after 3 months.
That's horrible.
Yeah. But most drivers at that point would have said, listen, dude, you either have me back back to your terminal by a such and such date, or you can come pick your damn truck up. Mm-hmm. But this was a different case. This guy was really, first off, when you call somebody, at night and you just all of a sudden start talking about dispatchers not being able to run loads and they're all against you and blah, 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 just literally going off on a rant. This is how the conversation just about started. I already know you have a few screws loose. I already know you're a little bit nutty. You know what I mean? So anyways, here's what's weird. He's complaining about these not two carriers, but he's complaining about all these carriers and he's naming some. And ironically, he names two of them that I know really personally. Mm-hmm. So I decide to call them. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm just going to call these carriers and let me check them out for you. Since you're really going off nuttiness here. And so I call company number one. And Company number one, I won't say their name, but they're in Iowa. And I called and I said, here's this driver's name. He's having a hard time getting a job. He said that you put him down for an abandonment and that he didn't abandon your truck. And then they proceeded to tell me the story that they have written down in their system.
The other side.
Yeah, exactly. The other side. You know, what did Paul Harvey used to say? And, you know, the rest of the story. So, literally, here's what they said. They said they hired this guy. They had him in orientation. Now, this guy never, by the way, delivered a load. They hired him. They had him in orientation. They gave him a brand new truck. And I believe it was a lease purchase, if I remember what they were saying right. They gave him this brand new truck. And he lived in, I believe it was Kentucky. Yes, he lives in Kentucky. I'm thinking of the area code. And he had, are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. His wife with him. Well, his wife is on medication. And he had to supposedly pick up medicine for her that was at their house. So here's what they did. They gave this guy a load to Florida. So you can just, from Iowa, you can go through Kentucky, cut through Kentucky on your way to Florida. It's pretty simple stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. He goes to Kentucky, and for 2 days, they can't get a hold of him. Yes.
That's were they waiting for the medication to be made?
I don't know. But now this is the story the company tells me.
Okay.
This guy literally, I guess, gets the medicine, but ironically, some friends are going to be coming into town that they hadn't seen in a long time. So they elected to just take the entire week off and visit with friends. Now, mind you, this guy's
under a load.
Yeah, this guy's under his first load. The customer's in Florida waiting for this load. And this guy takes it upon himself to just stay home. Right? So in the meantime, they're trying to call him and say, what's going on, dude? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And, you know, he keeps giving him all kind of stories, I guess, about her.
It's always the wife's fault.
Well, hear this now.
I am.
They stay the entire week. He's running around now with this bobtail. They disconnect from the trailer, and he's using the bobtail while he's home, bopping around.
Using the fuel.
Yeah. Gets into a little fender bender with the bobtail. Now, believe it or not, now the truck has to go in the shop, and it's in the shop for almost another week. Obviously, the company sends somebody to grab the load.
Yeah.
Take it to Florida. They finally get this truck fixed, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to get him another load. They're just going to have him pick up a trailer. And the guy says, you guys are going to fire me. I know it. Now, here's why, though. They had got him a load that was coming right back to the terminal. So, I mean, I can't speak for the company, but if you hire on with a company and do something like this, and then they give you a load right back to the terminal, mm-hmm. most likely you're getting fired.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
You're bringing the truck back.
Yeah, just bring it back. We want to talk. We want to make sure everything's all right. But most likely you're getting your ass kicked out. And he recognized this. So what does he do? He abandons the truck in Kentucky. So flash forward to my mind, I'm hearing these people talk. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call company too.
Okay.
The other one that he said is blackballing him. So I call them. And they tell me I know this guy's a small company out of Chicago. We got like less than 50 trucks. The immediate first thing out of this guy's mouth, out of the owner of this company, I'm talking to the owner of this company this time. The other company number one, I was just talking to the safety guy, who I knew also. Mm-hmm. Now I'm talking to the owner of the smaller company, and the first thing out of his mouth is his wife.
Okay, so as of now, what we've got from this is the wife is a troublemaker.
Well,
that's what I'm getting.
Well, first off, if you're a man, you should wear the damn pants, and you're supposed to be the boss of your truck, okay?
You're supposed to be the captain of the ship, and your first mate is being a brat.
Well, I'm not. It's mainly really him, but what he was saying was this guy would have to go, and ironically, had the pick up the medicine story several times. He told me, he said, now this guy had actually been with him like, I want to say 3-4 months. He actually kept this guy for a few months. He said, at least 1 to 2 times a month, this guy had to call the ambulance because his wife would have an episode, right? She would be, I don't know, if she has diabetes or whatever the case is. And I'm not going to put somebody down if they have a health issue. But here's a guy.
That kind of health issue, I don't mean to cut you off, but that kind of issue should not be in the truck, though. They should actually have them home where they could have direct care and not be,
I would agree, and I'm sure
100 and plus miles away from their house.
Well, I mean, it's like trying to take a baby on the road.
Yeah.
Should a baby be in a truck?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I mean, you got the turbo going, you got the bouncing, and it's just confined the entire time. Should a baby be in a tractor trailer going? I don't think so either.
No.
Babies are going to cry eventually, and you got to take them out of that seat. And if you're driving 10, 11 hours a day, you think that baby should be strapped down for 11? Well, my whole point is a sickly person is really not a whole lot different than a baby because they need care, constant care. So again, I'm not putting the woman down, but what I'm saying is when you're a truck driver, right, and you have somebody sickly with you, just like what you just said, you're really better off not having your wife with you. So he says, this owner tells me, he says, at least 1 to 2 times a month. A month, he said. This guy would call the ambulance for his wife, and then they'd have to go sit at the emergency room for a half a day or a day. And 1 or 2 times she was even admitted for a day, and the driver would absolutely not leave her side. He would stay at the hospital. He kept his tractor trailer there, and this was an ongoing process. So now here's 2 companies saying the same thing. What this guy's doing. Right? So guess what? He did. He cleaned his truck out at the hospital and told the owner, yeah, I know you probably need this truck back. Go ahead and come and get it. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Which most likely is, to me, would be BS. First off, you're in another state. This guy's like not even in his home state. And he's abandoning the truck at a hospital. To me, it sounds like he got another job. Okay, your wife's going to get out of the hospital the next day after her episode, and where are you going to go? You know what I mean? And you don't have any money, obviously you had to have a job, right?
Something.
I mean,
there's something.
It was the most bizarre conversation you could ever have. So when I call this guy back, and I say to him, listen, dude, and remember, this is a guy going off on dispatchers, going off on carriers. Nobody wants to give him a chance, and he's the greatest truck driver in the world, and he knows how to get from A to B. He's the man. Man, that's all he likes to do is just go. But come to find out, the guy's had 5,000 million jobs in the last couple of years. And here's 2 companies that he mentioned that I knew. And I'm now hearing the same story. These companies don't know each other. One's in Illinois, one's in Iowa. Okay. And they're both saying the exact same thing. This guy has a problem with this woman that's with him, and she's always getting sick, and then the customer's getting screwed. The trucking company's getting screwed. Everybody's getting screwed. And this guy, you know what this guy says to me? He goes, I can't help it if I chose my best friend over a company. Well, dude, you're doing it. You're now at the point where it's not just one abandonment he's got. He doesn't come with an abandonment. He comes with a reputation.
Yeah.
And when you're a truck driver and you come with a reputation of I'm a whiny baby, or I'm a troublemaker, or I don't take shit off dispatch, or I have a problem in my truck. I have a problem in my truck and I can't deliver freight consistently for the next year for you. Most likely I'm going to have 1 million hospital stops with this woman. Dude, this is why you can't get hired. And I told him that. He said to me, he's like, I need to find a job. Do you know any carriers? I said, dude, I wouldn't give you a name of a carrier, because he said, do you know the name of a carrier that might give me a chance to where my wife and I could get out there and just go see the country and work? I said, dude, I wouldn't give you the name of a carrier if your wife is coming with you. I said, I wouldn't do it. I am not going to pass your name on to somebody. Okay. And the two carriers that I talked to are saying the same thing about you.
He needs to stay local.
You're trouble.
He needs to stay local. And then here's another thing. Statistically, and this is why drivers should stay healthy on the road. Statistically, if you're a truck driver and you start driving when you're in your 20s and drive when you're all the way, like to retirement, your organs themselves, from being in that air ride seat, they jostle. And
they what?
Jostle.
Jostle? Is that a word?
Yeah, jostle around.
Okay.
Shake. All so right. And I don't know if I got that off a word genius or not, but
There you go.
But so what happens is, because everything's moving around. Now you have someone that's either sickly, they can have, if there's an issue that they have like with one of their organs, let's just say
they're jostling.
Yeah.
From the truck.
And that's why I also agree that people that like infants or toddlers, it's too much. It's one thing if you're going to take them for a trip once in a while in the summer or something to that effect, but not a continual basis. And
I agree.
When I got pregnant with Hunter, that was one of the things that we agreed on, is that I would get out of the truck, because we don't want an issue with, there's too many things that can happen to an unborn child inside the womb on a normal basis, let alone if they're being, quote, jostled around. You don't know what's going to happen with that umbilical cord. So really, it's safer for anyone that has any form of medical condition like that to be out of the truck. And if you're a truck driver and you have a medical condition, it's your choice to stay in the truck, but don't blame anything. It's your decision. You know what I mean?
I do.
His wife if she's got this condition, he should stay at home, stay local, so that she don't have to ride with him, and there's no one else to blame for having to go to the emergency room or anything like that. And here's another thing. I don't think a lot of drivers understand when they are under a load and they abandon it. Mm-hmm. First of all, those loads have to go to somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if it's a food load or a dry good load. Let's just say it's a load full of diapers, and there's a company waiting for those diapers. And all right, let's just say now there's no diapers on the shelves at the store that's waiting for them. You're not getting back at your company. There's people that are actually waiting for those goods. You remember when COVID was really, past, and we're still waiting for our shelves to stock up? There was a reason why Walmart didn't have canned goods on their shelves. It was because they couldn't get the canned goods to the shelves. So there's more to it than just, I'm going to abandon the load and not have the company, they're going to get mad at me, or wherever you're going to be distributing it, whether it's Nestle or to a Walmart warehouse for Walmart to deliver it to their company. There's people that are depending on those products that you're screwing, not just your company or the person that you're taking that stuff to. There's regular people out there that are getting hurt by it.
The mic, there you go. And I 100% agree with that. You're not just, it's not just one, you're not just hurting the trucking company, you're hurting the customers, you're hurting everybody. And when you have this, when you're living in the clouds, I mean, this is, you see why I said this was so bizarre?
It is bizarre.
I was like, does this guy actually see that he is the problem? And it's more him than his wife. Just because you have a sickly wife, you really can't blame her.
No.
You think if you
Kick
think
her
about
out the truck.
You know, like, well, actually, what you just said is pretty good. It's, you know, if you really got to be by your little, you know, you want to coo on a wire, the two doves. You know what I mean? You can't leave your mate like a dove. Well, guess what? Get the local job, like you suggested, to where, you know, you can be home every night and be with her. And maybe, you know, and he actually told me that he can get a local job. You know, I guess some local company will hire him there, but he doesn't want it. And it's probably because most local companies don't let you take a passenger with you.
A lot of them, yeah.
It's not usually a day. You're not usually going with in a day cab. So it's probably this guy just can't get. You shouldn't be a truck driver if you can't. You got to be on the road and have your wife with you 24/7. What I mean by that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having her with you. What I mean by that is if you have to have her with you to where if let's say there's a time where she needed to be home for a month or two and you're quitting your job because she's at home and you don't trust her or whatever the case is, you can't be away.
There's issues.
Yeah, there's issues.
Issues beyond.
You got an issue in your brain, okay, if you can't do it that way. Now I get it. You know, there's nothing wrong with having your wife with you as companion on the road, especially if you're a guy that doesn't go home. But if you absolutely are willing to, they're broke. He was telling me this. They are dead ass broke. And the reason they are dead ass broke is because this guy has kept screwing companies over the last couple of years. Nobody wants to hire him now, and they can't get a trucking job. And I would imagine that there's probably some companies that will give him a chance if his wife would stay home.
Yeah, because she's now destroyed his reputation.
Well, it's not her. I don't think it's her.
Well, you can't blame someone else. You're right. You're right. It is really not her. If I was causing you to do certain things, or you're causing me to do certain things, it's still my final decision.
Right. And look, you were with me on the road for a year or two. I mean, I'm not.
It's 2 years.
It was 2 years. Okay. I'm not denying that, but you were also off the truck for a couple of years, you know, and there was no problems there. So the bottom line is, okay, you know, if you have, and this isn't the first time I've heard about it. It's not the first time we actually talked about this. If you have somebody that's special needs in your truck, you are going to develop a bad reputation, and therefore these trucking companies are going to mark you, and you are absolutely not going to get a job. So bottom line, you need to take control over that situation. And if she is legit, again, I'm not questioning legitimacy, but if she is legitimately sick, then you have no business having her out there. But if it just sounds like there's a lot of BS going on with that deal. What were you going to say?
Well, depending on the special needs, there's drivers out there that have I don't want to say a child, because they do. Some of them are young, but they have a spouse with them or a brother that is special needs to a point, but it's not hindering their job.
Exactly.
That's the difference. It doesn't if they're special needs to a point where,
yes,
okay, you just have to work with it and go around it, but it's not hindering your performance or your job description,
right,
and the company getting you to and from your loads.
I like that.
It's not interfering anything but if it's interfering with your daily performance, then there's something that has to be changed.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. There's nothing wrong with having the sickly wife with you if it's not a catastrophe for the company that you're and some drivers might go, oh the poor company, they can't that's what he kept saying, these companies just don't understand.
They do understand.
Actually, they understand that what he's doing is wrong, but nobody understands that you should be allowed to take somebody with you that's going to have you at a hospital every couple of weeks, or abandoning trucks all the time, or I mean, let's be honest. Look at the company number one said. He went home and then visited with friends for a week. That wasn't you being sick in the hospital that time. So somewhere along the line, there's bullshit coming out of this guy's mouth. You know what I mean? It's like there's always
Where's that button? The BS button. Beep, beep.
The BS button. So, a little advice, guys. And if you have problems to where, you can't do your job all the time, you're better off being local. Or, you know what? Don't
change careers.
Change careers. Yeah. Amen.
There's something else that you could do then. How about a sponsor?
How about national carriers?
National carriers, NCI.
Yes. Call them at 888-311-7076. They're hiring company drivers, student drivers, and teams, and trainers. Couldn't think of the name. Call them again. 888-311-7076. Tell them Talk CDL sent you. Carter Lumber is another sponsor for Talk CDL. They're a company that has over 160 or 180 locations, little terminals from the Mississippi East, and chances are there's one near you.
Looking for Class A and Class B.
Yes, local home every day. Go to carterlumber.com/talk CDL. Fill out the little form. That's carterlumber.com/talk CDL. Also, Camion's break-even calculator brought to you by LoadSmart. In the time of the most high fuel prices we've ever seen. It's a free download, and it'll help you utilize and keep your truck making money and maybe, saving money here and there. It's Camion. That's KAMION.IO. /talk CDL. That's Camion.io/talk CDL. We're also brought to you by
DriveWise.
DriveWise is awesome. If you want an app-based app, an app-based app. If you want to just be able to have an app, and most we're getting emails from companies saying, "Hey, we just switched over to DriveWise for real because they're paying less, and there's no transponders. You don't have to order anything like that. But if your drivers aren't able to bypass the scales." Okay, you're missing time. Sometimes they're getting inspected. Go to DriveWise. That's DriveWyze.com. Download the app today and start bypassing the scales. And Ruth Ann, we are brought to you by one other people, and that is driving-test.org. If you want a guarantee of passing your CDL, seriously, guaranteed or your money back, it's like $50 for the month, $49.95. And they guarantee you will pass your Class A or your Class B CDL, and that's driving-test.org. Moving on, Ruth Ann.
Moving on.
You got something for us today?
I do. Actually, what I'd like to say is also I got my newsletter from TAT this past week.
From what, TAP?
TAT.
And what
Truckers Against Trafficking.
TAT.
Their September newsletter. And let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a young lady that did an article in there. And she said that you cannot go by the image of a young girl being tied up and in a dank, drippy basement.
So like you're saying, most people, when they think of human trafficking, you think of some creepy, Silence of the Lamb movie where somebody's in a little hole.
Or anything, when we watched that one movie, what was it?
She puts the lotion on the skin. No, actually, I shouldn't make jokes about this right now.
No, because it's all true.
It is true. But that's the image people get.
Right. People have the wrong image.
And it's not.
No, she said it was her dad. It was a family member. And when you have certain things, she said it started when she was 4 or 5 or 5 or 6, basically. And, he would have her by the hand and he'd walk into the bathroom and put her in a stall and say, "Okay, honey, you go ahead and go to the bathroom. I'll be right back." And another gentleman would come into the stall.
What? Are you serious?
And walk out with her. And that was at amusement parks. She says Hershey, Dorney, etc. She would walk into a bathroom stall at 5 years old. Another gentleman would take her out. They would go. He would do whatever it is that the father allowed. And
I want to kill the guy. I want to kill KILL. I want to kill her dad.
That she said.
Her dad was doing this?
Her dad.
What a piece of shit.
And then other incidences where she would go to the airport and they would go to the airport.
And she's in trucking, since this is with TAT?
It was just a human trafficking incident.
It was just a human trafficking story.
Yeah. I mean, there's more to it. If you go to their newsletter, it's the TAT September newsletter. It has a bunch of articles. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because you need to know that it's not just someone stealing someone and running away with it. It's not like a kidnapping.
It's not like a
family
kidnapping.
Yeah, it's family members also.
So family members are, I've heard of people trying to sell their kids or do this or do that, and you hear it very rarely. But for a dad, it was freaking dad,
someone that she was supposed to be protected by, someone that she was looking up to, and here he was taking everything that she had and abusing it. And so she was going through, and she said she has no problem telling people how, what to look for. She's very open about this. And she was like, they went on vacations and she was left for a minute by the pool, and then another man would come and get her, and then they would go out and get lost in a crowd.
How does a dad, here I got a question. This is weird. Like, so the dad was pimping the daughter
basically
as a baby. I mean, because when you're 5, you're a baby.
Yeah.
You have you only know what the grown-ups are telling you is okay to do. Okay. So there she is, probably not even realizing it was bad. I mean, I don't even know. But I'm just trying to figure out, that he go on places, they go to parks. How the hell is he finding these people that want to do this stuff? Or is he maybe meeting and telling them to meet them at these certain areas? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think for some incidences they do have where the trafficker meets the person first because they want to make sure that they're not going to damage their goods. I hate to say it that way, but that's what they consider them. And so they want to meet with them and see what kind of person they are before they do anything. Then in other incidences, they do a lot of stuff. I mean, that's why people get arrested for online stuff. But here's what she said. Most children trafficked in the U.S. are so conditioned they don't know anything else. It's their normal. I think back as an adult and I think, why didn't I scream out for help? Make a scene. But I had to forgive my inner child. There was no reason I knew to scream out for help. I wasn't in danger. This was just my normal life. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
That as a child, that's your normal life. Yeah. So you don't scream, you're like, ow, hurt, stranger danger. They don't know any of that. We condition our children as stranger danger, you scream, do whatever. She was conditioned never to do that. She was
conditioned to take pain and do the disgusting things with an adult. And I'm going to tell, here's my message, because most truck drivers are not bad people, but we've had some truck drivers arrested with kiddie porn in their truck, meeting little kids, even abducting, and doing things with them. Mm-hmm. And if you're out there listening to this podcast, seriously, I mean this sincerely, I pray that you get caught. I do. Because, Ruth Ann, we're in the church, and we've had one or two guys in the church that showed up, acting like that, and then found out they were actually predators with a mugshot on the sheriff's thing, and here they are
coming to a church
and sitting down outside at lunch, trying to sit with little 3 and 4 year old kids, and we're all going, what the hell is this 65-year-old guy out there doesn't even know these kids? He's out there in the parking lot with the kids or in the grass. So and then we found out what he was doing, and then another little girl told us about him, a 15-year-old girl. And, we literally sat down with this guy. And I'm going to tell you something. You cannot understand talking to one of these guys. They have a weird stare even. They literally we confronted this guy about this stuff. And he told us he had been arrested several times in different counties. And you know what? Every time it was the little kids' fault.
They blame children.
They dressed sexy, or how could dressing in a 5-year-old kid dress?
I don't know, those frozen panties that those little 7-year-olds wear.
No, seriously. What it just disgusts me. And the reason I'm saying this to you guys that are truck drivers, if you're out there and you're doing this, I hope you get caught and you get locked up for the rest of your life. Because I've already dealt with these guys, and they have zero remorse for any victim. The victim is really the aggressor to them. That's how they think. It's a disgusting thought. So if you're a truck driver and you have these thoughts, of little kids. Turn yourself in. You're really worthless. You're freaking worthless. And if you have a child that you could do this stuff for, do to rather, I think you deserve, seriously, to have a bullet put in your freaking head.
It's disgusting.
I think you deserve a bullet right in your head. You just blank their mind out. Send them to be judged somewhere, because they absolutely have zero. That's not even a human way of thinking.
No. And I thank Melanie for putting it out there,
Sick
because
bastards.
if she wouldn't have put it out there saying that this isn't just your normal, don't think of human trafficking always being this kidnapped victim. If it wasn't for her doing that, some people wouldn't know to look further into the family members.
And this is in the Truckers Against Trafficking news magazine?
Yeah.
Is it online, the magazine?
Yeah, it's truckersagainsttrafficking.org, and go to their September newsletter. And if you click the button for the my father trafficked me through my entire childhood, click the little click here thing, and you can read her whole story.
I got to ask a question I'm sure everybody wants to know. Where's the dad today?
Honestly, I don't know.
It didn't say? Everybody wants to hear that justice was served in that case. That's what and you said Hershey Park and Dorney Park, from where we're from, that area.
So she
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go check out Truckers Against Trafficking and, donate to them. Help, call them. They're all about advocating.
Yep.
And there's programs out there that train truckers.
Right.
To be able to watch and spot for dangers in a car, watch for the signs at a truck stop. We've got stories about it, but somehow get in touch with these people, and it would be a great cause to. I'm not saying donate $1 million. I'm just saying if you want to donate,
you don't have to. They have a donate button. You can donate whatever you can, but then they do have specific tiers that you could be recognized if you wanted to go up higher, But another thing they have on there is a Springdale, Arkansas motel owner was just ordered to pay $25 million in restitution to a human trafficking victim that his hotel was being used as.
Is he going to prison? Because he should.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, let's wrap this show up. We're actually coming up on 40 minutes here. Let's really, anybody out there that's driving a truck, let's really band together. And I know a lot of drivers watch for it, but we need to keep reminding each other, because it's really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day operations. When you're out there driving, you got to deliver your load, you've got everything on your mind, and now you got to have this on your mind too. But I'm telling you, it's for a great cause. Please, if you can, figure or find out how to start recognizing for the signs, because little kids, that's our future. My God, anybody that hurts, I think most adults believe the same way, Ruth Ann, that there isn't probably a greater crime than when you have it against little kids, especially little tiny kids. My God, I want to find these people so bad, and I hate to sound like a murderer, but I want to kill them. I want to kill them.
Most drivers do feel the same way you do. They have that same want to do something.
Wow.
Also, but I'm going to give you Tat's phone number.
Go ahead. Let's hear it. Truckers Against Trafficking phone number.
It says, make the call, save lives. 888-373-7888. Program that in your phone, and just put Tat. And then if you see something, and you can always all phones do the voice right now. You can say, hey Siri, or you could say Alexa, or whatever your phone is, and say, call Tat. And hold on, my phone's about to go off. You can say that to them, and then the next thing you know, you can make that phone call.
Okay. Do you, moving on, Ruth Ann, do you have a word of the day today?
Let me go and get to it. I was so involved in my Tat that I didn't go to the other one.
That's a horrible story. Oh my gosh.
It is. It's absolutely.
Now I'll be thinking, it's one of those stories you wish you hadn't heard, but you need to hear. You know what I mean? You nobody wants to hear disgusting little things like that, but yet we all need to know.
You need to hear the reality, because sometimes you forget that's out there.
I want to say something also. These were somebody's neighbor that probably never knew what was going on in the next door neighbor's house. That's even worse. You hear me? Mm-hmm. So that's horrible. You got the word?
I do.
All right, let's hear the word of the day. By Word Genius, by the way.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were going to keep talking.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Asseveration.
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 Asseveration is the action of forming something into a mass or piling something up in a heap or heaps accumulation. Kind of like when you rake your leaves and you pile it all up, that's assertion.
Asservation, you
Or
said.
asservation, sorry.
So when you pile something up, it's asservation.
The Great Hill in the park was created by the asservation of the earth removed to build the subway station.
Okay, it's the process of piling up. Okay. So when you say asservate, that means pile up.
Pretty much.
That's interesting.
There you go.
I might have to use that word. Ruthann, we are out of here today.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.